Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Bear Necessities event in which the Urska Savage was added to the game, as well as for console the Corrupted Urska, which PC Mobile already has. So let's get into it. The Corrupted Urska is 100% useless, but still get one because you need a copy of it. As far as the Urska Savage, it's kind of interesting. It's a much needed dragon, early game dragon counter that this game was needing. For newer players and probably mid-range players, it deals damage to an enemy and is boosted by enemy dragons and half of that damage to adjacent enemies, and the boost is 5 times per dragon, so it can deal as much as an additional 20 damage to the single target and then the additional 10 to both adjacent targets if there were 4 dragons on the enemy team. So a decent amount of damage, not anything extremely high, but if you needed some kind of alternative counter to dragons, it could work for that. Also, it is the first troop in the game to get 3 Slayers on it. It has Monster Slayer, Demon Slayer, and Dragon Slayer, each individually giving 2 times against that type, and it does stack. So let's say a Daemon Dragon like Elma Grimm, or a Monster Daemon like Krog the Dread, would end up taking 4 times damage. One thing to note, if they are something that can be 100 marked, so let's say a Krog the Dread, and he ends up hitting a skull on them, he will end up doing 8 times skull damage, which is obviously pretty much going to one-shot anything that happens to be under that category once you get his 100s marked. The way that multipliers work in this game is they are multiplicit, they're not additive, so a 2 times, a 2 times, and a third 2 times does 8 times, not 6 times, so do keep that in mind. That is a very, very, very rare instance that it would ever occur, but it is indeed possible to do so. And as you can see, he does have the Dragon Slayer, which does synergize pretty well with the fact that he does extra against dragons. He's mainly just going to be used solely as a alternative dragon counter for people that may still be struggling with them. So it's a pretty nice troop to kind of just use as a utility right there. As far as the other events, we're going to be getting 10% for all of the Urska with this week, including the Urska type, so definitely a good time to use everything within the kingdom. With the event keys, it is definitely very worth, if you're a console player, to use event keys this week, as this is the first week that you guys have access to all of the new kingdom stuff, including the new legends from the kingdom. So definitely spend all of your event keys, since you're probably going to be needing it to unlock the new content. As far as people on PC and mobile, you won't really need to. Currently there's only one legend, King Mikhail. Couldn't remember his name for a moment there, but King Mikhail, that's about the only thing you're really looking for. Maybe more copies of Baba Yaga, or just getting things fully upgraded, but you really don't need to use it that much if you're on PC mobile this week. If you're on console, you'll probably want to do it down, because you'll be needing those stars for your kingdom. There are 9 troops in the kingdom for both for all versions now, so it is a bit easier to get it to 5 stars than what it previously was, so do keep that in mind. As far as the crafting this week, there is a couple things that could be craftable. As far as the legends, there isn't a single one. None of these are so over the top that it'd be worth crafting, so you can just leave them all as is. As far as the mythics though, there are 2, though I guess it's still not technically possible to craft them, so it's almost irrelevant if I go over the mythics. But still, Guard's Avatar and Amnesia, just for reference sake, are worth crafting. Amnesia mainly because she's used within the context of Guild Wars. She has a nice explosion. She's one of the only few yellow exploder or yellow summoners that are actually viable, and for many of these colors it can be used as a really viable summon, because that does count for points in Guild Wars. And Guard's Avatar has one of the highest damage outputs in the game, though he does have the liability of having an armor value that when damaged will decrease his damage output. But assuming he doesn't get damaged, he does have really good damage on him. So those are the 2 that are kind of craftable. As far as the legends, pretty much ignore them. So basically just ignore all crafting within the Soulforge this week, since that basically is all the viable things. So for the events, for our event gems, what do we have to do? We have to defeat a bunch of Urska and explore, or Urska I should say. Where do you do this? The inner Urska kingdom. This is basically the only place to do it. Everywhere else will be pretty much void of them, and of course as I get a battle that is completely void of them, that would figure. If I'm not mistaken, going into your guild menu still refreshes it, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check, and yes, that is indeed still a thing. And there's the corrupted Urska. I didn't really go over it. It explodes a gem and rages a random ally for every purple gem destroyed, and then creates a 6 goals. The reason this is absolutely horrific and is never worth using is mainly because this does not prioritize troops that already don't have enrage. So for example, if you enrage your entire team, and then you take a skull off your first slot, of course you would then get the enrage for your first slot. That's good. But now trying to enrage it again is a little bit difficult, because you have 3 troops with enrage and 1 without. But if you, for example, place 2 enrages on yourself in that situation, they will not prioritize your first slot, or whichever ones don't have enrage. It will just randomly choose them, and in most instances, it will randomly choose ones that already have enrage. So there is almost no point whatsoever in the current state to use a corrupted Urska. It's pretty much useless, so don't even bother. So yeah, all you have to do here to just get the event gems is just kill it out with whatever quick team you want to do. Also, you get 20 souls. I didn't show it yet, but we'll show that after. You get 20 souls this week using the new troop in your team if you're going to go and fight these. So if you wanted to get those 20 souls while also farming up trait stones while still doing the event objective, you can kind of do all of them at once. Is it worth doing that? Not really. I'd say just going with the quick team is still preferable, but I'll go show a team real quick. As I mentioned, if we go into event, let's go claim this real quick. It's bothering me that everything is blinking. Let's see. I was about to go show, oh yeah, I was going to show the bonus souls, 20 souls for all Urska. If you use the Urska Savage and Explore, you get 20 souls. So if we go do the same thing, go back to Explore, go, and of course we only got 1 this time. The new King, the new Legendary, what he does, or new for console. He explodes a row, deal damage to all enemies, and then additional 6 if he's enraged. He's really bad if he's not fully traded. And even fully traded, he's still pretty bad. The only really good benefit about him is he automatically enrages when he takes brown. This is pretty good with Apothecary, since you can keep spamming him with skull spams. I'm going to be showing a team with him as well. It's one I've showed before, but since console just recently got it, figured I'd show it again. So let me go do the team for this, the plus 20 souls, which is Princess Elspeth, Rowain, Bombot, Urska Savage. Of course, you can just use whatever your standard Explorer team is, or whatever else. This is what I came up with as far as what you would use if you wanted to get the 20 souls. Also, it does not matter if it actually survives, so we can just kill it. Ideally, that will hit one of those up, then you just throw the Bombot, and ideally you would win right there. Apparently not, so we'll just go for a little bit of extra damage, and that will wipe it out. And there we go. So that's basically how you do that, and we'll get additional 20 souls per battle, as you can see, since we didn't actually use anything that gained souls, and there we go, just getting it at the end there. So is that worth doing? Not really. You're better off just using a quick Explorer to get the event done. As you can see, we already got another one done, 20 gems. It's a pretty easy event. If you just stay there for probably an hour, you could most likely get the entirety of it done. So let's get into some teams now. Into PvP we go. And first off, we actually do have a really good team to use this against. Not only is there a monster, there are also 3 dragons. Dragons aren't really that meta at the moment as far as them being used a lot. But still, if they ever come back, or if you need an early game option, because quite a few people use all dragons early on in the game, he could be, as I mentioned, this is mainly a early game and mid game kind of counter to people who are struggling with the dragon teams. They pop up a lot more towards the earlier of the game nowadays, mainly because there isn't any 4x dragon team that excels compared to what is the overused kind of teams these days, like the all extra turn spam. So the only thing that really worked exceptionally well in late game with the dragons is mainly the Dragon Soul Christine X combo. So anyways, let's go and get ourselves a green seer. That seems like the easiest way with the board that we currently have to try to fill one of these up. So we'll choose that. Doesn't really matter too much what color we deny for the most part. We have this new guy up. Of course, it's boosted based on each of the dragons, since he has 3 dragons. That would then bring it up to 45 damage, plus half of that to adjacent, so I assume the adjacent damage would be 22. I also put a Dragon Cruncher into this team. You could possibly put him in first slot too if you really wanted to. I just wanted to kind of show this guy in first slot instead, since he is the newer one. But for example, we see a threat right there. We can go throw a Dragon Cruncher on it. 50% chance it will devour, and yes, it does indeed devour. And that's one of the reasons why you kind of want to put that one in first slot. But I did want to have this guy so we could also do 2 times onto the monster. But we'll just do the middle one right there. As you see, 40, and then the 2 adjacents. Wait, 40. Oh, because I killed one. Oops. Because I killed a dragon, we now have a lower boost ratio. Kind of forgot about that. Because since there's only 2 dragons, it's then a 10 boost ratio, and that brings it up to 40, so 20 adjacents. Whoops. That awkward moment when you accidentally do that. Well, it's not that big a deal. it's better that we got the kill. Maybe we still got the good damage there. And we can split damage to kill the rest on the follow-up. So that'll, no, it won't do a double kill. We'll come close, though. So we'll just take some brown right there. That'll be the last little bit of damage we need. Throw another one down. Yeah, that will not be enough to kill it. It'll get a nice Dragon Soul down. And we'll just get a nice green seer to counter that. So there we go. Didn't get both of them up, but we just get the skull. Of course, that skull does do 2 times damage to basically everything that he was using. So pretty nice. We'll just throw that down. And 2 devours in a row. I wish you were always this lucky to get 100% devour rate. There were times that I would go probably like 10 times with that and not get a devour. Well, there we go. That was almost more of an example of what Dragon Cruncher can do than the new troop. But yep, that's basically what he does. You just kind of use him to counter out dragons, monsters, and daemons, and he's kind of versatile in being able to do all 3, particularly ones like Frog the Dread, Elma Grim, and any kind of troop that ever uses 2 of those types, because of course then he'll do 4 times skull damage to them. That's the main time that it'll really shine. So, the final one is... Oh, I probably shouldn't run this against a Queen Mab. Oh well. Never mind, it doesn't matter. We have Apothecary. We actually can... this is one team that can run against Queen Mab, actually. So, yes, King Mikhail is the new legend that console just got. Of course, it's not so new for PC Mobile, but I figured I'd still show it since it's pretty relevant for console. It's a team I've shown before, but it's one of the few viable Skull Spam teams that actually exists at this current moment in time. Skull Spam is pretty bad as this current moment, mainly due to things like Nobin Brothers being pretty good, and Wisp and stuff like that, so it's not really that decent to be using as your main team, but it is still something to consider because it may become better in the future. So right off the bat, we're getting pretty horrible board. Not really the best. I guess it's not the most horrible board, but generally we want to get a really quick Apothecary so we can get it rolling. And once we get it rolling, it's pretty much just a win. We do want to put more brown on the board. For some reason, didn't I just deny out the red? Yes, I did. I do that a lot. You do not actually want to deny out red with this team, obviously. Mistakes were made. Also, we don't want to deny out brown. That would also be a bad idea. Yeah, I kind of just made myself go into this situation. Though I don't believe I would have shifted into it. Though it's not too big a deal if that does happen. We can easily just go and pretty much wipe them before it even matters. So I'll throw that down. It does land, and that is indeed enough damage. So that's basically what you can do with the new legend. Do you need the new legend to do that? No. Does it work slightly better with them? Kind of, yeah. It works better than Artima, it works better than the Gorgoltha, it works better than basically any brown-yellow that you can put into that slot in this particular team, mainly because of the Enrage. For any of you that don't know what Enrage is, well, it tells you right there as well. Enrage is relatively new for the console versions. Essentially what it does is for one single instance of damage, it does 1.5 times extra attack damage on your skull, and it also ignores traits. So for example, if you're using Stone Skin, Granite Skin for that skull reduction or anything else like that, it will completely ignore that mitigation, which is the biggest benefit that this troop really has compared to other things, since he can easily enrage off an Apothecary or even just the Cascades themselves from Skull Spam. He can easily get that enrage and just hit through them, so even if they have a bunch of skull reduction or anything like that, it basically just completely ignores it, which is a pretty nice benefit that essentially every other troop is unable to do. He's unique in that he can kind of shear through all of the mitigation that they might have against skulls. So pretty decent to use on an all skull team. One other thing to note about Apothecary too is it can cleanse. It also got kind of small buff this most recent patch as well. Now it has it used to only have immune to disease. I mean immune to poison. Now it has immune to stun, poison, disease, death mark, and devour. The 2 most notable of those being death mark and devour. So it is got quite a few of decent immunities added on. So that's a little bit of a small buff that it got too. So between the cleanse on all allies and that, it's a pretty durable team. Not the greatest out there, but as far as Skull Spam is concerned, it is one of the better ones. But anyways, I'll wrap it up for this event. If you still have any other questions about anything related to the event or anything Gems of War related in general, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.